top of these shock towers, strut towers, are a bunch of holes. 3 of them are for the airlift camber plates, and then 3 were for an old strut tower that connected the 2. So we're gonna weld them up, say goodbye. And I am not a good welder, but it should work just fine. And then this C-notch in the frame was welded on the outside, but not welded on the inside clearly. So we're gonna address that as well. Wish me luck. All right, clean the paint off the holes. So this side, man, it's just a total mess. It's sharing holes here, so I'm thinking I'm just gonna weld it all up and re-drill. The guy who installed this before, looks like he just used a couple holes from the strut tower that he took off to then install the camber plate. So I don't even know if it's totally lined up. I mean, it looks pretty close. This is the hole, that one, and then the front one there. But we'll weld it up and then just re-drill. Cleaned up this side, just the holes that I'm gonna fill. So this one in the back, this one here, here, here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cleaned up this area where the C-notch is. Like I said, I suck at welding. I got a really basic MIG welder. It's only got 4 settings on it. Can only do so much. I'm just thinking go hard on it and then file or grind down whatever I don't need or whatever we don't use. All right, you ready for some of the worst welding you've ever seen? This didn't come out terrible. I'm okay with this. We'll file it down and it'll do the job. I have never filled holes before, so this was a first. I just kind of went hard on it until there was enough weld in there to fill it up. Now I'm gonna grind it down. Look at this one. Oh boy.
Yikes.
Wow. I'm not a fabricator, and the way I have been learning is by doing it on cars, which is probably not the best way. I should probably just get some metal, continue to practice on it. Anyway, time to grind. Hey guys, Brad here. I can't seem to find the footage I took of the next steps of fixing the strut towers and then the battery tray area. I don't know what happened, so here's a quick explanation. After I was done grinding everything down, I was ready for it to be painted. I went ahead and hit it all with, I think it was 300 or 400 grit sandpaper, cleaned it all up, got it ready to paint, and then I used masking tape, and I bought some painter's plastic a long time ago from Home Depot. Giant roll. I've used it to paint my house several times, do car projects, and it's still going. I highly recommend picking some up. I'll put a link in the description below. So I masked everything off. I used the painter's plastic to cover the entire engine bay and everything around the car that I didn't want overspray on. And then went ahead and sprayed the strut towers with some touch-up paint I bought from paintscratch.com. You can go onto their website. There's also automotivetouchuppaint.com. You put in your car, the year, the model, so on, and then they will mix up the paint and they can send it to you in a spray can or in a little touch-up bottle with a paintbrush. So that's what I use to spray it. I also realized that the battery tray area was pretty corroded. So here you can see what it looked like before. I moved the wiring harness, everything out of the way. I removed the grounds, and then I hit the rusty areas with an 80 grit flapper wheel for the Dremel, which is pretty cool. I'll put a link in the description below. Sprayed it, and boom, all done, nice and clean. Here's the final result of the painting of the engine bay. The color, you can see it is a little bit different, which I expected. I knew there was no way to match this. This is all grimy. You know, maybe there's a way to really clean this up if somebody wants. The thing is, once everything's back in the bay, you're not gonna notice it nearly as much. You're gonna have like the coolant ball and whatnot kind of covering this. So, you know, the other thing is, you can see here where I welded up a hole and obviously left some little micro kind of holes in the surface, which you can still see, but it's better than what it looked like. Same thing on this side. Even, I think, more noticeable here on the color difference, but again, you're gonna have a bunch of stuff kind of covering this up, and it's gonna look better than it did. Without 6 holes in it, it's just the 3 that the suspension needs. And then I ran into the same issue here with not like completely filling the holes all the way with weld. So it was just a bitch to kind of grind some of these because they were in weird locations. So I didn't want to keep welding and have to keep grinding. Last but not least, this is where the battery tray sat. And man, does it look way, way better. Again, you can see the color difference, but this will for sure all be covered up. You're gonna have a battery sitting here. The wiring harness is gonna come back down. So a lot of this will be covered up. It's just good to know that the rust has been taken care of and been covered, you know, so that it won't continue to corrode. There's still some paint flakes here that came out of the plastic when I removed it. But yeah, the last thing I need to do is, these are all grounds right here, which I've now painted over like a dum-dum. I should have just wrapped them in tape. So I'll wire wheel these so they're bare metal so that the grounds are nice and clean when I hook them back up. And then I just realized that I haven't sprayed these 2 spots yet. So these had a little bit of surface rust. I hit these the other night with the wheel. I'm just gonna kind of hit them with a little bit of spray just so that they're covered up.